Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. In today's video we are going to be looking at how we can make a dirty 808 kick drum bass sound, a little something like this. Okay, so that's the sound we're going to be looking at today. Let's get right into it. Okay, so here we have an initialized preset. What we're going to do, the first thing is to load up a basic shapes. We want a sine wave. We're going to put this sine wave down all the way on 0 so that it plays from the very beginning each time we hit a note. Excellent. Next, we're just going to turn the level down on oscillator 1. We're going to control this in a bit with the LFO. But first, let's just take the pitches down. So let's go to -24. Remember, hold shift and drag down. That will allow you to move in octaves. I'm also going to turn on the sampler. We're going to use a white noise. I'm also going to turn the level down on the sampler to 0 as well, because we're going to do the same thing, control this with an LFO. And I'm going to pitch this one down just 1 octave, so to -12. Okay, the next thing we want to do is to set up our envelope before we set up the LFO. So let's go to envelope 1 first. Okay, so this, remember, envelope 1 is your amplitude envelope. So this basically shapes your sound. So as you can see here, I've got quite a sharp attack. I might move the attack up a few little seconds just to avoid any clicking. And decay comes down a little bit, so this is the end of the sound. And we've used the hold to dictate the kind of length of the sound that we want it to be about here. We'll have a listen in a bit, because remember we got the volumes down at the moment. So we're just going to set up the LFO to control the level of the oscillator and the sample, and then we'll have a quick listen and check where we're at with the sound. So here we go, let's set up the LFO next. So in LFO 1, we're going to drag this over here. We're going to raise this up there like that, and we're going to bring this down a little bit so it has a little curve somewhere around here, around about there will do. Okay. We're going to have it on 1/2, and we're also going to put it into envelope mode as we only want it to play once. Now remember, we want this to go and control the level, so it brings the level back up. We want it to go to about where it would normally go, so let's take the level down a little bit. Let's just have a listen and see where we're at. Okay, so that's what we should have now. Okay, very subby sound still, right? Very subby, because we're using a basic shape, so we end up with that very subby sound. We've also got to turn the noise up a little bit, so let's just go and do that as well. So we're going to add this to the level of noise. We're going to have a tiny bit of noise coming through, so we're going to have it literally on about 36. So let's have a listen to that. Okay, so you can hear a little introduction of a little hiss on the top of that subby sound. Now we're going to squash this all together with a bit of distortion in a bit. But the one more thing we want to do before we go and do that is we're just going to go to envelope 2. What we're going to do with this is we're going to set up a pitch modulation. The pitch modulation is going to add a click or a little attack to the beginning of this sound. So we're going to drag once again the sustain all the way down like this. We're going to have the sustain about there, and we want a very, very tight attack. So we're going to drag the decay all the way to around about 3 o'clock, somewhere like that, around about there somewhere will do. Quite tight, you can see. We want to set this to the pitch. So we're going to go into the matrix to do that, and in the matrix we're just going to set up envelope 2, and we want it to go to global and to voice transpose. Now we're going to right click and we're going to enter the value, and the value of this one we're going to go for 24 semitones. This means it's going to come down 24 semitones very quickly, and it should give us a little attack at the beginning of the sound. Let's have a listen to what that's done. Okay, so it's starting to sound more like a kick now that we've introduced that attack. Okay, so like I said, now we've got the noise on this sound and we've got this subby sound together, and we've got our little click. We just need to go into the effects next. It's all about the effects here as to making this into a really dirty kind of 808 sound. So what we're going to add, obviously, to do this, like I mentioned before, is we're going to add a distortion, and we're going to add some compression, and those are the two main things we need. So we're going to start with the compression actually this time. I'm going to leave it pretty much as it is. I might just bring the highs down a little bit just to control them a bit, maybe somewhere around there will do. Okay, everything else is going to stay exactly the same as it is. I'm not going to touch anything else, and I'm going to add a distortion. Okay, let's just listen to what happens when we put the compressor on here. You see this will add a bit of top and grit to it, so you can control your different bands, like this is your low band, this is your mid band, and this is your high band. So you can control the different frequencies using this multi-band here as well. So let's have a listen quickly. So you can hear it really brings out the top end here. Okay, so we're going to control all this now with the distortion. So let's turn on distortion and let's set up distortion to around about 16, something like that. Let's check it. About 14 maybe, 15. Okay, we're also going to set up the LFO to go to this, so it gives it a little bit of click as well, you see. Let's see how high have we got this going. We're going to get that to about 18, something like that, so it really pushes it. Okay, so we really start to introduce a lot of that sound now that we want, as you can see. So this is the magic that happens here, really, when we start adding the distortion to the two signals of the noise and the low frequencies together. You get this kind of magical, kind of crispy top end to your sound. You've probably seen this done many times before in basses, etc. So this is one technique we can use in order to create this kind of dirty sort of 808 sort of crispiness. So once we've set up our drive, and we've got that driving nicely now, excellent stuff. We want the mix exactly where it is. We might just add a little bit of reverb to this sound. So let's just go and just give it a bit of top end reverb. We're going to cut all the bottom end off, so we'll just turn up the low cut to around about 5. Sensitive today, there we go. We'll bring this one down as well, so let's bring that right down and we'll get that to around about yeah, around about 250, 300, something like that. Cut off a lot of this and turn down the gain as well. There we go. And the mix can stay where it is. The time can come down a little bit as well, so move that down a little bit. There we go. Everything else can stay the same. Let's see where we're at now with this sound. So there we go, that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. Very simple patch, very basic idea. It's a very old schooly sort of sound. There's not much to it, as you can see. The real magic all happens from the distortion and how the two sounds, the low end sound and the high end sound, react together through the distortion. There's lots more we could do to this sound in order to like make it different and add variation to it, but for the purpose of this video I just wanted to show you the basic way to get to a basic 808 kind of sound. So that's it for this video pretty much. One more thing I have done is I have also gone ahead and just processed this sound a little bit more. So here we go guys, I've loaded in the sound and I've resampled it. As you can see, it's been resampled 808, and this is kind of something I came up with, so let's just listen to the original very quickly. That's what we have got in the synth, and now that I've resampled it, I've done very little to it, to be honest. In the resampling, there's so much more I could do. I've just added some extra distortion and a reverb, convolution reverb, and also added a bit of EQ to it and layered up the sounds together, the original with the resampled one, and just put them on top of each other. It was a very simple resampling session, but just to give you an idea of how you can take the sounds further, you see. So let's have a listen to this one now. So from the original to the resampled. So you see you can start to create different kind of vibes and textures and variations of the sound that you had. So there we go guys, that's all I wanted to share with you today. Thanks very much for watching, and please remember to hit subscribe if you're enjoying the content so far. And take care of yourselves. Until next time guys, peace.